Hi everyone, and welcome to another Devs React to Your Comments video. Recently, we released the roadmap for the spring and summer of 2026. Since then, a lot of you have asked us questions on YouTube, Reddit, or Discord. Today, we want to take the time and answer those questions. Let's start with the first one. Will the visual overhaul impact performance in any way or increase the recommended specs? That's a fair question. The short answer is no, the recommended specs are not going to be updated. We are aware that a lot of people play on older machines or lower end setups, and we don't want the visual overhaul to lock anyone out. So alongside the art changes, we've been doing pretty intensive performance profiling to make sure there's no negative impact. On top of that, we're also working on client optimizations in parallel. So this isn't just add prettier visuals and hope for the best. We're actively improving how the client handles things under the hood. In fact, in certain situations, you might actually see better performance than before. That's going to depend on your setup and what you're doing in-game, but overall the goal is better visuals and smoother performance. Can we get more screenshots, video footage of the upcoming visual update? I love the enthusiasm, and yes, you'll get more. You just need to be a little bit more patient. As we get closer to the spring update, we're going to start sharing more screenshots and more video footage focused specifically on the visual remaster. We know it's one thing to hear us talk about it and another thing to actually see it in action. So don't worry, this isn't a that's all you'll get situation. There's more coming as we ramp up toward release. Here's a two-parter. Will the visual update include the player character, mounts, items, or only the environment? And second, when will we get new mounts or mount lines? All right, let's break that down. First, what's actually getting the visual update? Right now, the big focus is on the open world. That's where you'll see the most significant improvements with this visual remaster. Of course, we'd also love to upgrade player characters, mounts, items, all of that. And we want to do that. We will tackle that. But doing everything at once would be a massive project and it would tie up a huge amount of our art and tech resources. And we don't want to stop doing regular content updates just to push out one giant visual overhaul. So the approach we've chosen is to improve things step by step. Start with the open world, then continue expanding those improvements over time instead of trying to ship one enormous all-in. For the second question, new mounts and mount lines, yes, that's something we're always looking at. Mounts are a big part of Albion's identity, and adding new ones and expanding mount lines is definitely on the table. I can't give you any specific this is when right now, but it's obviously part of our ongoing content planning. Another visual remaster question. Will the islands receive any visual improvements, redesigns, or new content? No, islands aren't getting a direct redesign or new gameplay content with this update. But that said, they will very much benefit from the visual remaster overall. Things like the new water, improved ground textures, updated lighting, and better post-processing will all be visible on islands as well. So no structural changes, but they will definitely look better. Is the spring update just a visual overhaul, or can we expect anything else? No, it's definitely not just a visual overhaul. The visual remaster is a big part of the spring update, yeah. It's the most visible change, but it's not the only thing coming. We also have some targeted gameplay additions in there. For example, we're adding a new map for the 5v5 Crystal Arena and introducing a new 1v1 arena game mode, which I know a lot of players have been asking for. On top of that, we're adding the Armory, which is a pretty significant expansion to the loadout system. It should make managing and swapping your builds much smoother. And we're also making some targeted changes to the disarray system, specifically the way it incorporates battle mounts for being used in large-scale fights. So spring is not just about making the world prettier, there's also some gameplay improvements in there as well. Give us a PS5 launch. Why are you skipping PS5? To be clear, we're not skipping PlayStation. We absolutely want Albion Online to be on PS5. From the very beginning, the vision for Albion has been a true cross-platform MMO. One world, shared servers, and everyone playing together regardless of device. PlayStation fits that. It's not a question of if we want to do it. We do. It's something we're actively interested in and working towards. What we can't give you right now is a concrete timeline. These things involve technical work, platform requirements, certification, all of that. So we don't want to promise a date and then move it. So yes, PlayStation is very much on the radar and we'd love to make it happen. I've never played before and I'm interested because of the incoming Xbox port. Will there be any catch-up mechanics for Xbox players or a time period where we will get to play with exclusively console players before being thrust into the hardcore PvP crowd? Great question, and welcome in advance. Short answer, no. There aren't going to be catch-up mechanics specifically for Xbox players. Albion is one shared world that's a core part of the game. Everyone plays together on the same servers. That said, don't let that scare you. You won't be the only one trying to figure things out. There are always fresh players learning the game, joining guilds, and progressing step by step. Also, over the past updates, we've made a lot of changes specifically aimed at improving the new player experience. The early game does a much better job now at teaching you the basics and easing you in before you ever step into the more dangerous zones. So, no catch-up boosts, but you absolutely won't be thrown into the deep end without support. You'll have time to learn the ropes and find your place. Can you give us more details regarding the Armory systems or loadout in general? The Armory is basically a pretty major addition to the loadout system. What it actually does is track which builds people are using throughout their play sessions, and it's basically a large database of real actively played builds. The Armory then takes that data and presents effective builds in a dedicated new UI screen. So instead of guessing what works, you can just go there and see what other people are running successfully. From there, you can save those builds directly into your personal loadouts, which makes buying them or re-equipping them from chests so much easier. The goal is to make experimenting with builds and getting back into the action faster and more fun. Very short question. Party Finder, ? Yeah, we know the Party Finder needs love. It's been high on our wish list for the last couple of updates, and a couple of times we even looked at fitting it in, but in the end we had to reprioritize features the game needed more urgently. That said, it's still really high on our priority list, especially with cross-platform in mind. It's definitely not forgotten. When are you fixing your netcode so NA players have good ping again? It's been years. Yeah, I've definitely seen those comments. First off, we hear you. Ping issues are frustrating, especially in a game where timing really matters. If you feel like your connection hasn't been where it should be, that's not something we're just brushing off. We've been working closely with our hosting partner to improve routing and overall connection stability, not just for North America, but across the Americas, Europe, and Asia. A lot of this stuff isn't a simple flip of a switch. It involves infrastructure, routing paths, and coordination on multiple levels. At the same time, we've set aside dedicated technical resources internally to keep working on performance and network improvements. And that doesn't stop with the spring update. This is ongoing work. Our goal is steady, gradual improvement. You may not see one big dramatic change overnight, but you should see things getting better over time. And we're going to keep pushing for as long as it takes. Is there a plan for an economy update? I think it would be easy to reinvigorate a lot of old content by reworking how artifacts are dropped. So, will there be a pure economy update? Probably not. Albion's economy isn't really something we treat as a separate system that we patch in isolation. Almost everything we add or change in the game affects the economy in some way. New content, new rewards, balance changes, all of that feeds directly into supply and demand. When it comes to artifacts, we did take a first step last summer with the introduction of the depths. Since then, you can trade favor for demon crests at the Antiquarian's Den once you've reached the required standing. It's actually very likely you'll see more steps like that in the future as we keep refining different systems. We want to know, why is there a big RMT ban wave right now on the NA server? Well, when it comes to real money trading, for us it really comes down to two core issues. First, RMT very often funds botting and account theft. A big part of the supply side comes from bots farming 24/7 or from hacked accounts being stripped of their assets. So even if you think you're just saving time, you're often indirectly supporting these kind of activities. Second, it directly bypasses our monetization model. Albion sells things like premium and gold, and that revenue pays for servers, salaries, and ongoing development. Third-party trading pulls money out of that ecosystem without actually contributing to it. So from our perspective, cracking down on RMT isn't about going after individuals for the sake of it. It's about protecting fairness in the game, the stability of the economy, and the long-term sustainability of Albion Online. With the bloat of content, will there ever be a content deletion? Yeah, that's actually something we talk about internally from time to time. Right now, there are no concrete plans to straight up delete content, but we're very aware that Albion has grown a lot over the years, and with that comes a certain amount of bloat. One idea we've discussed is rotating certain features or activities instead of having absolutely everything available all the time. That could help keep things fresh and reduce overload without permanently removing something. That said, we're also very careful here. Every piece of content in Albion is someone's favorite activity, so if we ever make changes like that, it won't be a light decision. The next couple of questions are focused around combat, the Keeper event, or dragons. I've asked co-creative director Michael Schwahn to join me and answer those questions for you.
Hello. As a lore fan, assuming these are the primordial dragons, how exactly are they going to interact with the world and environment? Considering they once ruled and decimated the old world, with mob factions rising up to challenge them, will we see terrain changes or some sort of team up with the giants on their arrival? Yeah, interesting that you bring up the giants, which are part of the keepers. With the Keeper event being right before the Dragon update launch, they probably have something to do with the launch of the Dragons. More on lore. Are there any plans at all to drop lore about mob factions? Most especially Avalonian. Please, I need to know. If you need to know that urgently, there's actually one thing that I think you will like a lot with the lead-up season and also the Dragon update. As a fan of lore, I think there's a lot for you to look forward to, and you should definitely check out the next upcoming updates. With the release of Dragons, will it also be content gated by alt scouts and reds locked out in the zone? No. Next question. No. They will work very differently from world bosses, which is what you are referencing here, where they're heavily protected by scouts and hardcore guilds that lock down this area. We don't want them to play like this at all. That's why they are very different. So you don't have to be worried that they will be like that. Is the new Dragon content possible to interact with as a solo player, or will it be for larger groups? Will there be raids for different sizes? I know PvP is possible when accessing dragons, but when you get to the dragon, it is solely PvE. But what are the expected required planned group sizes? Yes, like you mentioned, during the actual fight against the dragon, it will be pure PvE and no one can backstab you while you're fighting it. The way how you get to a dragon will be in a PvP scenario. You will not be able to slay a dragon on your own. They are just too powerful for that. We might have something for different group sizes though. Howdy, got a few for you. Will the Dragon update include any meaningful repeatable stone sink to help increase the value of tier 4 to tier 7 stone to be competitive with the other resource types? We don't plan to have a new stone sink with the Dragon update right now. In general, though, I agree that we need more stone sinks in the game. We are aware that they don't provide the same value that other resources do right now, mostly also because they lack a unique sink for the enchanted version. But we want to tie another stone sink to an update and a feature where it really makes sense. We don't want to add it just to get another sink in. So not this time, but we are aware that we need to provide more stone sinks in the long run. How will the Keeper event work? Will gameplay be different in a meaningful way, or is it just a global roadmap to kill X Keepers for rewards? So, the Keeper event will be an event. It's not a game update, but it will be an event that shakes up your daily life, and we want to test it as a unique way to have some narrative tie-in to the launch of the next update, but also offer you some new activities to do during it. And it will be a bit more than just kill X Keepers to fill a bar. Is the Keeper event intended to be an enduring feature if successful? Actually not. It is intended to be a one-time event only during that time before the update launches. However, if you like this kind of format, we might do something similar again in the future. Any details on what to expect for Xbox release with enhanced controller support? I think the biggest game changer in terms of controller support for me is we have a game menu that you can access by the equivalent of a start button. You press it and then you can, with your shoulder button, cycle through the Destiny board, the journal, the world map. And you can navigate these out also better now with the controller. That makes a big difference to have a better UI flow in general. But we also looked at combat and targeting and made a lot of improvements there. And I would definitely look forward to you trying it out, because we have been testing it internally also with like doing our own custom matches where we play in small like arena-ish matches against each other, and it's getting more and more fun to do your PvP with this controller setup. Brother man, I just want more mage options. Electric mage would be dope. Maybe a wind mage for support. Yeah. When do they plan on releasing the expansion for mage weapons? Warrior got gloves, Hunter shapeshifter. Right, and what will the mages get? I understand the question a lot. That's also something we are excited in the team sometimes when we talk about new weapons. But for the short term, we have decided to work on other topics first. There's a lot of cool things we want to do first and a lot of things you can look forward to, like dragons, for example. But we have not forgotten about the missing mage line, and we have already some cool ideas what we would like to do there. But we would ask you to be a bit more patient to see what we have in the cooks for you. Any hint or plans on the remaining mage weapon line? Maybe I can give you a little hint. There's two concepts of weapons or themes for the new mage weapon line that are kind of tight right now, that we're both thinking are really cool. The first one is rather straightforward, has a few unique twists, and it is something that you also ask a lot for. And there's a lot of cool things we could do with this mage weapon line. And there's another concept of something that's a bit more experimental, or has a lot of new gameplay twists also and implications, which makes it exciting also more challenging. And it also has a cool theme to it, I think. These two are kind of head on head, so it's kind of hard to choose for us which one we want to do when we get to the time to do it. Because right now we are focusing on other topics first, and we have to find the time to really focus enough on these mage weapons to really do them justice. Will we have more orange zones or solo version of current orange zone? Or even mists? I can't give you any details about the update yet. We also think orange zones were very successful and something that we would like to try out in the future more. And for the update that is coming up, I can give you a definitive maybe. Will there be enhancements to Endgame solo PvE? Or do devs think that the solo PvE experience is at a generally healthy state? Judging by the way you phrased your questions, I get that you don't think it's in a healthy state. And I think you're right. We definitely want to improve PvE in general in the long run, but also solo PvE, and also provide more challenge in solo PvE. But these are more things we want to tackle in the long run. For right now, we have other topics we focus on right now. And we are also, but we are working already on a roadmap to do more for PvE in the future, and actually also increasing our team to have the manpower to actually develop our PvP features and the main core of the game, but also doing way more on the PvE side in the long run. Dragons will be the first step to add a bit more new PvE, but it's more like a first step, and then we will continue to add more stuff specifically tailored towards improving PvE in the future. Can we expect large group dungeons during the Keeper event, like the other raid we currently have? We won't have any new other raid dungeon during the Keeper event, but maybe with the update afterwards. As a newish player who has trouble with guilds because they seem to either be structured and demanding, or so lax they never play together. Is there anything planned to bridge that gap for players that play casually but want to do guild content? We don't have anything concrete for you right now, but in general, I think you are right. We definitely want to improve what more mid-core guilds can do, right? We have this problem that a lot of our guilds are super hardcore and super dedicated, which is great, but we lack a bit the step in between, like a mid-core guild. And what we want to do in the long run, where we sometimes talk with the game designers, is provide more meaningful goals for midterm guilds to achieve for without being super hardcore and super dedicated. There's nothing concrete I can promise you right now, but it's something we are aware of, and I think you can expect some improvements there in the future.
Thanks for joining us today as we attempt to answer your questions. If there's anything else you want to ask, feel free to post it down below. For now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Albion.